A big focus for London Tech Week has actually been talent, isn't it always? And the UK government actually announced it will offer new visas to immigrants wanting to start new businesses. It's in a bid to attract tech entrepreneurs and will lure those deterred by Brexit. Now, a company fully behind the government's focus on the sector is Funding Circle, one of the biggest UK startups. And its own lending activities have actually boosted economic activity, not just in the UK, but across Europe. I spoke with CEO Samir Desai about the impact his business is having.
What we found was, of the £1.7 billion of loans that we did last year, that actually created 75,000 new jobs globally, 45,000 of which were in the UK, and an additional £4 billion of economic value or incremental GDP. So it's really rewarding because we talk a lot about big numbers like billion this, billion that, but to see it really starting to feed into the real economy is something we're really excited about. And
you go feed into the real economy a little bit more because you're hiring more.
Yeah, so I mean, we as a business, it's not quite as high as 75,000 jobs, but we are hiring around 400 people this year, 200 of which will be in the UK, mainly in technology and data analytics, because really it's underneath it all, it's really a technology data business, analysing huge amounts of data to help connect up small businesses with investors. 200
in the UK, 200 outside of the UK. Talk to us about when you're hiring talent in this Brexit world in which we live. How hard is it finding the right talent to come to the United Kingdom? Is it easier in Germany, the Netherlands, US, where else you're based?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think if you look at the UK, that's where Funding Circle started. We've been here since 2010. We're one of the largest, one of the larger homegrown technology companies here. So we do probably, on balance, find it easier to hire, Brexit or no Brexit, than say markets like the US or Germany and Netherlands, where we're probably a bit less well known at the moment. So we certainly haven't seen as big an impact as maybe it's feeding in for much smaller companies, but certainly for us, we still see a lot of talent wanting to come and work with us and really try and build a better financial world.
That's got to be somewhat helped when the government shines a light on the ecosystem, as they have done this week. We're hearing from number 10, Theresa May, the Prime Minister, saying, look, more private capital coming to the tech ecosystem in the UK, more focus on visas, particularly for entrepreneurs. Is this mood music too little too late, or is actually a positive step?
No, I mean, I was at a round table today with the Prime Minister and the Chancellor, the International Trade Secretary, Digital Minister, so, and they took, well over an hour out of their day when, we know that there's all sorts of Brexit votes going on in the House of Commons. And what it reinforced for me is that the deep commitment that the UK government has to technology here. London has been one of the fastest growing technology hubs in Europe. The government in particular has been very helpful to us. The British Business Bank actually started lending through Funding Circle in 2013 when our business was only 3 years old. So I actually think it's, obviously we hear about Macron this, Macron that all the time, but actually I do see a very high level of support in the UK, and it's great to see. Macron
this, Macron that. The French leader, of course, has been focusing an awful lot on AI investment in building up the French tech sector. And there was a piece of reporting coming out from, I think it was EY, consultants, showing that actually Paris is starting to steal the limelight in terms of investors thinking it's a better destination to go and put their money. Do you feel that in any way, that investors are now looking to rival hubs that little bit more, or not so much?
I mean, I think you will naturally have multiple hubs developing across Europe. Paris and London are probably as close as San Jose and San Francisco, so which all count as Silicon Valley. So, whether it's Silicon Europe or whatever you want to call it. But I do think there are a lot of advantages for London. London is a very big city. Greater London is 10 million people. You have access to great universities. universities. You have access to quite a large financial sector with all the depth of talent that is actually in that. So whilst I think there will be stuff on the margins, you know, we're certainly seeing this concentration. And you know, this roundtable I was at today, the CEO of DeepMind was there talking about how they have 1,000 people working there now, all from all over the world. Some of the you know, experts in artificial intelligence really congregating. So once you start to build these ecosystems, it is quite hard to break them.
You're potentially eyeing the market at some point to go public. Can you give us any update as how that progresses, the banks involved, for example?
Well, we've not confirmed or denied that we're going to take Funding Circle public. What we have said is that we do want the business to be a public business in the long run. You know, at the heart of what we do, you know, we don't actually lend money ourselves. We're a platform connecting up thousands of different types of investors directly with small businesses, processing all that stuff. And that's a trust-based business. And eventually, we do think being a public business will help us with brand awareness, with trust. And at the end of the day, great companies do go public at some point. So I can't really give you an update or a non-update either way, but you know, it's something we have an aspiration to do at some point.